Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Lung cancer. Classification of lung cancer is the next lecture. Lung cancer, as we said earlier, that lung cancer is the abnormal and uncontrolled proliferation of the lung cells. So first one is the non-small carcinoma, small cell carcinoma, and metastatic carcinoma. Non-small cell carcinoma. Non-small cell carcinoma represents 70 to 75% of the lung tumor, and it includes adenocarcinoma, which is 31 to 34%. Adenocarcinoma, it is the cancer of the glandular tissues, which lines the internal organs, which secrete the substances like mucus and gastric juices. Second one is the squamous cell carcinoma, and it counts about around 30% of the lung cancer. So squamous cells, these are the flat cells which lines the upper layer of the respiratory airways, and large cell carcinoma, which is 10 to 16%, and as the name indicated, is large cell which appear under the microscope as compared to the small cells. And fourth one is the bronchoalveolar carcinoma, and it is very rare type of carcinoma. So bronchoalveolar carcinoma that develops typically of the lungs and grows along the alveolar wall, but doesn't affect the lungs parenchyma. So small cell carcinoma, which counts about 20 to 25% of all oncogenic cancers. Small cell carcinoma, it is also called oat cell carcinoma, because these are the cells which produce its own hormones that affects the body chemistry, and it begins in the larger airways. So most small cell carcinoma arise in the major bronchi and spread by infiltration along the bronchial wall. Basically, small cell carcinoma that is begins in the major bronchi, which grows in its size. After some time, it will invade the surrounding tissues and infiltrate the bronchial walls. The oat cell carcinoma contain dense neurosecretory granules. So, oat cell carcinoma, it contains the neurosecretory granules that often cause an endocrine paraneoplastic syndrome. What is paraneoplastic syndrome? It is occur it is occur due to the fight between the lung cancer and the antibodies. So, due to autoimmune disorder, the cancer-fighting antibodies mistakenly attack the normal cells of the neurons. So, it will disrupt the normal function of the neurons. It is initially more sensitive to chemotherapy, but ultimately carries a worse prognosis and has often metastasized. Uh, this type of cancer is strongly associated with smoking. So, non-small cell cancer mostly associated with the smoking. Metastatic lung cancer. So, as the name indicates, what is metastasis? Metastatic lung cancer. It is the condition when the primary tumor occurs. So, due to the after some time, it grows in the size and invade the surrounding tissues and infiltrate into the blood vessels, lymphatic system. So this process, it will affect the other parts of the body. So it is metastatic lung cancer. So tumor of the breast, colon, prostate, bladder, and commonly metastasize to the lungs. So when the primary tumors in the breast, colon, prostate, and the bladder occur, so it will metastasize into the lung cells. May mean when in women's the breast cancer occur, so most chances be like it will cause the distal cancer in the lungs, and the men like prostate cancer and colon, bladder cancer, so it will metastasize the cancer in the lungs. So pathophysiology. Normal lung tissues is made up of cells that are programmed by genes to create lung cells of a certain size and shape that perform certain functions. So the genes that regulate the growth and the release of growth hormone. So the gene that is responsible for the cell appropriate cell function and their growth. So when there is some mutation occur in the normal genes, so abnormal hormones produce excessively, so which exaggerate the cell growth due to the mutation in the gene. The cancerous lung tissues cannot exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide and therefore perform no biological function. So obviously, the cancerous lung tissues cause it is destroyed due to the fighting between antibodies, due to some mucus production, the membrane between and the alveoli, which is responsible for the exchange of gases, so become abnormal and doesn't perform naturally, and they lost their biological function. Furthermore, tumor cells grow and invade surrounding lung tissue. Tumor cell grows invade the surrounding tissues, and this will limit expansion of affected lobes of lung and interfere with gas exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So when tumor grows, it will invade the surrounding tissues and affect the expansion and limit the expansion of the lobes of the lungs. So basically, right lung contains three lobes, which is superior, middle, and inferior lobe, and right lung contains the two lobes, which is superior and inferior. Airways are invaded, obstructed the flow of air. So mostly COPD, which is mostly responsible due to mucus production, the airways are blocked. So proper airways. So the airways are not properly working. So cancerous cell invade local lymph nodes and the thoracic duct intestines metastasis occur. So cancerous cells it will invade the local lymph nodes and thoracic duct. So thoracic duct we also call the thoracic duct Van Horn canal. It is the largest lymphatic vessel, which is 40 centimeters in length, 5 millimeters in width, extend from the 12th thoracic vertebra to the root of neck. So, and causes the distal cancer or due to metastasis. So, clinical manifestation. The lung cancer develops insidiously and is asymptomatic until late in its course. So, in the early stage, it is asymptomatic and cannot be diagnosed easily. So, the sign and symptom depend on the location and size of tumor, the degree of obstruction, and the existence of metastasis to the region or distant site. The most frequent symptom of lung cancer is cough and or change in a chronic cough. So mostly in lung cancer, the mostly occurring symptom is cough, and with the time the cough become chronic. So the cough starts as a dry, persistent cough without sputum production. When obstruction of the airways occurs, the cough may become productive due to infection. So, in initial stage, the cough will be dry, so it will be persistent, mean it will occur periodically without sputum, in the cough, mean it will not be productive cough. So when the airways of obstruction occur due to some mucus formation due to the infection, so it will become productive. Hemoptysis or blood taint sputum mean the productive cough will contain blood in the sputum. Dyspnea means shortness of breathing. High-pitched sound produced due to blockage of the partial blockage of the bronchi. Chest pain, which are wholly localized and etching. Excessive sputum production, repeated upper respiratory infection. Malaise. Malaise, that is the uneasiness and feeling of discomfort and illness. And fever, weight loss, fatigue, it is the constant feeling of tiredness. Anorexia, it is the life-threatening eating disorder, which is characterized by the self-starvation and weight of loss of weight. So we also call it the loss of appetite. So paraneoplastic syndrome, metabolic or neurologic disturbances related to secretion of substances by the neoplasm. So mean the tumor cell will secrete the substances that will degrade the neuron cells, which produce neurological disturbances or paraneoplastic syndrome. Symptoms of metastasis mean if a distal cancer occur. So what will be the symptoms of that? So bone pain, abdominal discomfort, nausea and vomiting from the liver involvement, pancytopenia from bone marrow. So pancytopenia is the less amount of white blood cells and red blood cells from the normal value. And headache from CNS metastasis mean if the cancerous cells spread from the primary tumor into the CNS, so it will cause the main symptom will be the headache. Usual sites of metastasis: lymph nodes, bone, and liver. Mean the cells that metastasize the other side of the body through lymph node, bone, and liver. So it's all about the classification and its clinical manifestation. So we will